I couldn't sleep all night because a foghorn kept sounding over the bay. I lay in bed feeling sick, moving between strange reality and wild, scary dreams. Just before morning, I heard a taxi go up Gatsby's driveway. I got up quickly, feeling I had to tell or warn him about something before it was too late. When I crossed the lawn, Gatsby's front door was still open. He was leaning on a table in the hallway, looking tired and sad. "Nothing happened," he said weakly. I waited, and around 4 o'clock she came to the window, stood for a minute, then turned off the light. That night, his house felt bigger than ever as we walked through the huge rooms looking for cigarettes. We moved heavy curtains and touched walls in the dark to find switches. I even tripped over a ghostly piano. Dust was everywhere, and the air was old and heavy, like the rooms hadn't been opened for days. We found only 2 old cigarettes and sat by the open windows smoking in the dark. I told him he should leave, because people might find out it was his car. "Leave now, old sport?" he asked. I suggested Atlantic City or Montreal. He refused. He couldn't leave Daisy until he knew what she would do. I couldn't destroy his last hope. That night he told me the strange story of his past with Dan Cody. Jay Gatsby had broken apart under Tom's cruel words, and his secret dream was over. Gatsby would have told me anything then, but mostly he wanted to talk about Daisy. She was the first good girl he had met. Before her, he had only seen rich people from far away, separated by invisible walls. He found Daisy wonderfully attractive. At first, he went to her house with other officers, then alone. He had never been in such a beautiful house. To her, it was normal, but to him, it was full of mystery. Beautiful rooms upstairs, fun parties, and fresh love stories that felt alive, like new cars and flowers at dances. The fact many men had loved Daisy made her seem even more valuable, and he felt their past emotions in the house. But Gatsby knew he was there by accident. No matter how bright his future as Jay Gatsby might be, now he was a poor young man with no past. The protection of his uniform could disappear any moment. So he took what he could, without thinking of right or wrong. One quiet October night he took Daisy even though he had no real right to touch her hand. He might have hated himself because he had taken her dishonestly, not by lying about money, by making her feel safe. He let her believe he was from her social level and could take care of her. But the truth was, he had no support, no rich family, and could be sent anywhere by the government. Gatsby didn't hate himself, and things did not go as he expected. At first, he planned to enjoy time with Daisy and then move on, but instead, he became deeply committed, like chasing a holy dream. He knew Daisy was special, but he hadn't realized how unique a nice girl could be. She disappeared into her rich world, leaving Gatsby with nothing but the feeling that he belonged to her. When they met again 2 days later, Gatsby felt breathless and strangely betrayed. Daisy's porch shone with expensive charm. She turned, letting him kiss her mouth. She had a cold, making her voice huskier and more attractive. Gatsby was overwhelmed by the charm money could buy. The clean clothes, and Daisy shining like silver, far from his poor life. I was so surprised to realize I loved her, old sport. I even hoped she'd leave me, but she didn't. She loved me too. She thought I was smart because I knew things she didn't, Gatsby said. Suddenly, I didn't care about my big plans. Gatsby and Daisy sat quietly in each other's arms. She moved sometimes, and he gently changed his hold. Once he kissed her dark, shiny hair. That peaceful afternoon gave them a memory to hold during the long separation. They had never been closer, not even when she gently touched his coat or he softly held her fingertips, as if she were sleeping. Maybe she loved him briefly when they first married, and maybe even then she loved me more. "Do you see?" Gatsby said suddenly. Anyway, it was personal. This showed how deeply he felt. He came back from France while Tom and Daisy were on their honeymoon. He used his last army money to go to Louisville. He stayed a week, walking the streets they had walked and visiting places she went in her white car. Like Daisy's house felt magical to him, the city felt sadly beautiful without her. He left feeling he might have found her if he had tried harder, as if leaving her behind. With no money, he sat in a hot day coach, watching the station disappear and strange buildings pass by. A yellow trolley raced beside the train, full of people who might have seen Daisy's face. The train moved away from the sun that shone warmly on the city where she once lived. Gatsby stretched out his hand to catch some air she had breathed, but it passed too fast. And with blurred eyes, he knew the best part was gone forever. At 9, after breakfast, we went to the porch. The air was cooler, like autumn. Gatsby's last servant said, "I will drain the pool today, Mr. Gatsby." Old sport, I never used the pool all summer. I checked my watch. 12 minutes to my train. I didn't want to go to the city. I had no energy for work, but more, I didn't want to leave Gatsby. I missed one train, then another before leaving. "I'll call you," I said. "Do, old sport," he said. "I suppose Daisy will call too." He looked hopeful. "I suppose so," I said. "Goodbye." We shook hands. Just before the hedge, I shouted, "They're a rotten crowd. You're worth the whole damn bunch put together." I was glad I said that. It was the only compliment I gave him because I never truly approved of him. He nodded and smiled like we agreed. His pink suit looked bright on the white steps. I thought about the first night I came to his house 3 months before. The garden was full of people gossiping about him, and he stood hiding his true dream. I thanked him for his hospitality. "Good," I called. "I enjoyed breakfast, Gatsby. In the city." I tried to work with stock quotes but fell asleep in my chair. At noon, the phone woke me. It was Jordan Baker. She usually called then because she moved a lot. Normally, her voice was cool and fresh, but today it was harsh. "I left Daisy's house," she said. "I'm in Hempstead, going to Southampton later." That annoyed me. Then she said, "You weren't nice to me last night. Did it matter?" I asked. Silence. Then she said, "Still, I want to see you. I want to see you. Too. Maybe I won't go to Southampton and come to town instead?" "No, not this afternoon." "Okay, it's impossible this afternoon." I don't know who hung up, but I didn't care. I couldn't have talked to her face to face, even if I never saw her again. A few minutes later, I tried calling Gatsby's house, but the line was busy. I tried 4 times until the operator said the line was open for a long-distance call from Detroit. I looked at my timetable and marked the 35 train. Then I leaned back and tried to think. It was exactly noon. That morning, when the train passed the ash heaps, I moved to the other side of the car. I imagined a curious crowd there, boys digging in the dust. Now I want to tell what happened at the garage after we left last night. It was hard to find Myrtle's sister, Catherine. She was probably drunk because when she came, she did not understand that the ambulance had taken Myrtle's body to Flushing. When she understood, she fainted, as if that was the worst part. Someone kindly took her after the ambulance. Outside the garage, people came and went all night. George Wilson sat inside, rocking back and forth on a couch. At first, the office door was open and people looked in, but then someone closed it out of respect. Michaelis stayed with Wilson and was alone with him until morning. Around 3 a.m., Wilson talked about the yellow car and said he could find out who owned it. He said his wife once came home with bruises, which made him cry again. Michaelis tried to calm him by asking about his life, how long he had been married, if he had children, if he went to church. Wilson answered quietly and pointed to a drawer. Inside was a new leather and silver dog leash. He found it the day before and knew something was wrong. Michaelis tried to explain, but Wilson seemed to know the truth. Then Wilson said he killed her, meaning the man in the yellow car. Michaelis said it was an accident, but Wilson did not believe. He said he was a trusting man, but when he knew something, he knew it. He believed the man in the car murdered Myrtle because she ran to talk to him and he didn't stop. Michaelis had seen this too, but it hadn't occurred to him that there was any special significance in it. He believed that Mrs. Wilson had been running away from her husband rather than trying to stop any particular car. How could she have been like that? "She's a deep one," said Wilson, as if that answered the question. "Maybe you got some friend that I could telephone for, George?" Wilson felt hopeless. He thought he had no real friend, not even for his wife. He was glad when the sky changed near the window. The blue light meant dawn was coming. Around 5 o'clock it was bright enough to turn off the light. Wilson's tired eyes looked at the ash heaps, where small gray clouds moved in the soft morning wind. After a long silence, he said quietly he talked to his wife. He told her she could trick him, but not God. He got up slowly, went to the back window, and pressed his face against the glass. He said, "God knows what you have done." Eckelberg on a faded billboard, big and pale in the light. Wilson said again, "God sees everything." Michaelis told him it was just an advertisement. Wilson stayed at the window a long time, nodding quietly. By 6 o'clock, Michaelis was very tired and happy when a car stopped outside. It was a night watcher who promised to come back. Michaelis made breakfast for 3 men, which he and the watcher ate. Wilson was quiet, and Michaelis went home to sleep. When he returned 4 hours later, Wilson was gone. Wilson walked to Port Roosevelt and Gad's Hill. He bought a sandwich and coffee, but did not eat. He was tired and walked slowly, reaching Gad's Hill at noon. People saw him acting strangely, and drivers noticed his odd staring. Then he disappeared for 3 hours. Police thought he asked about a yellow car at garages, but no one saw him. Maybe he had another way to find out. At 2:30, Wilson was in West Egg and asked for Gatsby's house. He knew Gatsby's name by then. At 2 o'clock, Gatsby put on his swimsuit and told the butler to bring phone messages to the pool. He stopped at the garage for a mattress. The chauffeur helped pump it up. Gatsby told him not to use the open car because it needed repair. Gatsby carried the mattress to the pool, fixed it once without help, and then walked into the yellow trees. No phone message came, but the butler waited until 4 o'clock. Gatsby did not believe the call would come and did not care. He must have felt he lost his old world, paying a high price for living too long with one dream. He looked at the strange sky through new leaves and shivered, feeling how strange a rose is and how raw the sunlight was on the new grass. This was a new, unreal world where lost spirits floated like ghosts, breathing dreams like air, moving quietly like a strange figure coming toward him through the trees. The chauffeur, one of Wolfsheim's men, heard gunshots but did not worry. He drove straight to Gatsby's house. His quick running up the front steps alarmed everyone, but they knew what had happened. Without many words, 4 men, the chauffeur, butler, gardener, and narrator, rushed to the pool. The water moved gently as fresh water flowed to the drain with small ripples. The mattress floated slowly, moved by a small wind, turning in a slow circle and leaving a thin red mark in the water. When they started moving Gatsby's body toward the house, the gardener saw Wilson's body lying nearby in the grass. The tragedy was complete.